Now, one thing about ego is it's all about how you're feeling. I think that ego, now this is just my opinion, stems from somewhere where we didn't get what we want, right? And so we all have been there when we've been stuck in ego instead of saying, okay, this is not about me. This is about the overall effect that I'm having on this big picture. And like I said, this is just my thinking. It's not everyone's thinking, but just think in terms of ego as I'm narrow minded. I'm just looking straight ahead. I don't care what's going on with this person or that person. I'm just focusing on me. Now, we might not even be conscious about when we're operating in ego, and especially when it comes to our books. Now, I'm always saying, do your book how it works for you. This is your baby, this is your book, this is your thing. So if it doesn't make you happy, then by all means. But if you're operating in ego so much that you do not hear what people are saying and you can't shift gears, you can't make adjustments to make things better for you because sometimes you are suffering so much in ego, your book suffers, the whole process, the way you went about doing things, it suffers. And so therefore, you make no sales because you're trying to do something. Basically, it's kind of like I'm trying to impress everybody and I don't care what anybody thinks. But it's like we don't want to be all impressed. What we want is a great story. And so if you set that aside, that ego, that, little monster that's saying, oh my gosh, I'm not being seen. Nobody's going to hear me or whatever. And just say, I'm giving my audience what I know that they need. I'm giving the person that's reading this book what I know that they need, how they're going to get value, how it's going to help them in some kind of way. And if I'm operating in myself only, I can't I can't be helping anybody. I can't possibly be helping anyone. So I have to remove my ego and say, how am I serving the people that are going to be reading this book? If it's self-help and then it's just your self-help, but you can't sell into anybody else because, you focused on you more so than you did some tools to help the person that's going to read it. Another way to get out of ego and to really just have the best, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be necessarily books, but to cultivate the mindfulness, right? So now you are aware, okay, I don't want to operate in ego. And so I need to be self aware. I need to be knowledgeable about who I am as a person. Who am I really? I need to dive deep and understand what is it that makes me want to operate in self instead of I'm here to serve? I am here to write this beautiful piece, and how will it help someone, right? So you need to go back to yourself and say, what is it about me that does this? Or what is it about me that does that? Why am I the way that I am? Once you understand the total self, then you can say, okay, I know who I am, so therefore I can help someone else. I understand, like if it's, trauma, right? I understand where my trauma came from. So therefore, now I can give these tools. But if I don't understand the trauma, I don't understand where it came from, I have not gotten therapy to help me, then I'm just all over the place. I'm giving you information that has no support. right? So basically, I've gotten the help that I need so that I can help you. So, if you don't operate in ego, if you really, really understand you as a person, then you can give something to everybody else. You can give something to somebody else. So, just your mindfulness and cultivating the person that you are, growing, continuously learning who you are as a person will help someone else. Now, you can have an inflated sense of self. This is just, I'm the baddest at this, I'm the best cook. But your food could be horrible, right? You could just be building yourself up to make yourself think you're the best when in fact you're not. So get realistic about who you are and what your true tools are, what you have in your arsenal that you can offer to people, so that when you stand before someone with your story, with your book, you can really say, okay, I'm knowledgeable. I know about this subject. I know about this topic and I can speak on it versus just standing up in front of somebody and saying, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then people are looking at you like, well, I don't know because I read in this other book, this, and it just contradicts what you said. Now you've got debates going on when you didn't intend that, right? So um, just if you are getting the real truth about where your skill level is at, where you are at emotionally, all of the things, then you can stand in front of an audience with your book and you can speak from a confident place, right? But just us building up ourselves and saying, oh, I'm the baddest at this, oh, I'm the baddest at that. I do that all the time. I'm always telling myself I'm the baddest at this and baddest at that. I know that I've taken ballet, but I'm not a ballerina. I've taken trumpet, but I'm not a trumpet player. I'm not a musician. I know that. I have taken swimming lessons. I have competed, and no, I'm horrible at it, right? I'm clear, but I have the ability to do it. But no, I'm not an expert, and I don't plan to write any books about it, right? Or talk to you about it other than having a really comical conversation. So be clear on what it is, your knowledge about your subject, what you're doing, instead of just saying, yes, I'm the best, right? Be very knowledgeable. Don't overdo it about where you're at and you're not there. Now, a lot of times when people are operating in ego, they are feeling like I'm superior, I'm better. They don't have any humility. They are just not humble. And sometimes it's hard to be around people like that. So, in terms of your book, whatever it is, um, just know that you have this piece of work, but there may be somebody out there that has a better piece of work. So be humble enough to say, oh yes, I have this awesome book, but this author also has a great piece of work as well that's similar to mine. So, and recommend that book as well, right? So don't be so consumed with yourself and feel like you're above everybody or everybody's beneath me, because it doesn't go over well and you won't make many sales, right? Because you're just so full of yourself and people, you want to be approachable, you want to be likable so that they buy your book, um, if you're not likable and people don't buy your book, they're just curious, right? So yeah, they're just curious. Now, a good way to not operate in ego is to receive good feedback from people. If you got a book out there or before your book comes out, be willing to take some honest criticism and feedback about it so that you can make adjustments. You do want your best foot forward, your best work. You want that out there, right? You want people to be clamoring about how well your book was written, the great story, how everything just tied together, how you fleshed out your characters, and I could really see the person, right? So just, be willing to accept the little criticisms, the mistakes that you made, and then adjust to that because it's very, very important. I can remember a time where someone had said something to me, and instead of deflecting or denying, I said, "Yeah, you know what? You're right, right? You're right." And so I had to think about that. And I'm just like, "Oh, yeah." And so then I adjusted, right? Because it's kind of like, they were saying, "You seem sad." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am sad." Or I could just be like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." I could just be on the defense, right? But at that time, yeah, I was sad. So I said, "Okay, yeah." And then I started addressing why I was sad, right? So um, just be open. I can't tell you enough how blessed I am and how fortunate I am, because I am. I'm open to, if somebody gives me feedback, I want to be so aware that I'm conscious of what they said, and that I say, "Okay, let me think about that." I don't want to be just so like, get all offensive, because you can't grow like that. All right. Now, this is huge. I try very hard to give as much as I can, to serve as much as I can. And people say, "Well, I can only do so much," but if you are giving from your true self, from deep within, it's easy. It's very easy. And so I will enter a place full full of whatever it is, and then I'll leave empty. I have given what I had to give. I'll give you an example. Now, this is just a tangible thing, but I went to my son's graduation from college, and I took my book. Actually, I took my story because it wasn't a book at the time. So I took the story and it was printed out. And then I had taken these little teacups and just little things, right? And I wrapped them beautifully. Half of my luggage was filled with these things, the other half had my clothes. So I planned to leave St. Louis, which is where he was graduating from college, from St. Louis University. I planned to leave with an empty suitcase, right? Come back with the clothes that I had, but it was definitely lighter. And so I was so thankful that I was able to leave the gifts with, housekeeping, or when we went to dinner, there were people sitting next to us, and I just would give them, the story, and then I just go on, whether they wanted it or not. I'd say, can I share a gift with you, right? And so I want to always enter a space leaving there with less than, I came. I came full, with money, or, gift, or knowledge, right? So when I give you a book, I want to give you everything that I got so that I can help you. you know and it's not that I'm trying to get the attention or the praise or what have you. I want to make you happy. I want to make your life better with this gift. So with the story was very, I don't know, impactful. It was very profound, that it impacted a lot of people. And then the gift was just an added thing, right? And it just, went with the story. It was just kind of, I love you. I'm giving you this story because I feel like you might need it, but then here's something else too, right? And so just removing myself and trying to do something for people, that just brought me so much joy. And I still do it in certain ways, but it's just like, let me remove me. I'm not coming here to take from anybody. I'm coming to give and leave empty. Now, there's a story that really affected me that I just carry with me in my spirit. So now there's a movie you can watch to just kind of get the gist of what it is, and it's called Schindler's List. I might not be saying it properly, but Schindler's List. So, and Schindler basically he was trying to save the Jews from being killed. And so he got into the business of selling pots and pans, And so he basically was, I will make this many pots and pans if you give me a life, right? How many can we make to save a life, right? And so it's kind of like, how can I impact a lot of people? What can I do? What can I contribute? How can this book make such a huge impact that I affect the world, or a large group of people that have the same situation that I have, right? So just think in terms of your Schindler, right? And you have something, you have a product, you have a service, you have a book. And how can you use that to help the masses, the people, to change their lives? So much so. So he was saving them from being gassed. And so, what is your thing? You know, for me, I just write books, right? I write books and I have knowledge, and that helps people. And I get joy from doing that. Him initially, Schindler, I don't know that he knew that that was what he was initially going to do, but he was so invested, and it was important to him, right? To where he would lose everything in order to save people. So, yeah, if you can, just watch the movie, because that's good enough. I'm not saying go out and read the book, but yeah, just beautiful story. So what you have, it's if you can make it larger than you as an individual to impact a lot of people, that will really help you. Now, I looked up ego and it said all these different things. And one thing it said was to avoid imposing your ideals or, your beliefs on others. And I think in terms of, when you're writing a book, or you have knowledge, it's hard for you to not do that, because these are the things that you've experienced. So you are saying, okay, this happened to me. And so therefore, these are the steps that I took to help me get out of this situation. And I'm using trauma as an example. I had trauma. So therefore, I did A, B, and C. And now, see, I'm fine. And then, and I'm going to therapy and I use these tools and I use that. So that would be the ideals. And it's not that you're pushing them on anyone. When you are writing, you're saying, I did A, B, and C, and these are my steps. And so follow these steps, and I can guarantee that it will work for you, right? And so I don't know if that's, a good thing to say. Don't impose your ideals or, what your beliefs are on someone. You never want to force someone to think a certain way, or anything, because their thinking is their thinking, and they are going to shift or move or do at the pace that they're going to do it. So, you can only operate from your knowledge and give the information, but don't try to force people to believe what you believe, right? Just let it flow. write your story, do your thing, your business, or whatever that is. And then the people that are supposed to find you will find you to do what's necessary to buy whatever it is that you have to offer. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is, just really cultivate who you are. I mentioned this earlier, but it's really like, let me find out all that I am, the person that I am. Who am I at the core? And what are the parts about me that I love? And then what are the parts of me that is just like, oh my God. Look at all of that. If you have to do this before you start writing this book, please do it. Get the tools in your arsenal so that you can speak from a space of joy, removing yourself and helping someone else. So if I know all about myself, who I am, what my likes are, what my dislikes are, what I'm very knowledgeable about, what I don't know, then I can operate better in this life and then I can help so many people. My one book can help thousands, maybe millions. And so if you're more in tune and aligned and know exactly who you are and what your beliefs are, there's not anything you can't do, right? You understand where your source of power comes from. So you operate from that space all the time. And when you show up as that same person because you're really clear about who you are. So I have done a lot of, coaching and therapy and counseling and whatever. I've been through all these different things, and I won't say that I'm, a total, complete person that has it all together. I'm one to admit that. But I have received so much that I'm really clear on who I am as a person, what my values are, what I will do, what I won't do, what my knowledge base is, and that I don't know everything. But what I do know, I'm willing to help people. So I am so thankful that you took the time to watch this video, and I hope that it helps you. And, if you have questions with books, writing, getting started, anything that has to do with the industry. And if I know, I'm more than happy to chat with you about it because this is the knowledge that I have from, when I was 10. I've been looking into things since I was 10. So I'm more than happy to help people who are interested in that. And so thank you for watching and I wish you well. Take care. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. Take care.